Hey, what's happening? Before we jump into the show, I wanted to see if you had any music on a hard drive. You have a band, you have a project, and you want to self-release your own music. Well, there's an easy way to do it. You can go to distrokid.com/VIP/hyphenate and go get your music up on all the streamers. You keep 100% of your royalties, and you can get 30% off by using this code. It's a great, easy way to get your music up on the streamers and share it with your fans, your friends, your family, your mom, your dog, everybody. Everyone wants to hear it. But go to distrokid.com/VIP/hyphenate, HYPHENATE, and send me the link. I want to hear it too. Send your mom the link. Send your dog the link. They all want to hear it too. We'd like to thank our sponsor, iZotope, the absolute leaders in intuitively designed plugins for audio restoration, mixing, and mastering. At iZotope.com, you'll find a plethora of tools and suites that will enhance your audio production, whether it's voice, video, podcast, or a full production recording session. Check out the industry-standard audio repair tool, RX11, or the multi-tool mixer plugin, Neutron 5, or the powerful Ozone 11 mastering suite, plus tons more. Go to iZotope.com and use the code FRET10 at checkout for 10% off. That's FRET10 to get 10% off at checkout. And again, the website is iZotope.com, IZOTOPE.com. Welcome to Hyphenate Halftime. This is our show for Monday, June 23rd. My name is Randy Randall. I'm the host of the show, and I'm joined by my co-host of the show, Mr. Aaron Farley of the show. How do you do, sir?
I am of the show. I'm good. I'm noticing I'm a little sunburned, so I wonder if my AI character this week is going to have like a full red sunburned face.
Maybe more of a red alien. Maybe
yeah.
A red
we
panda.
get a sunburned guy on the beach or something. You were just showing me those like created by AI. Whatever, what would you call those? Like the illustration, digital illustrated clips, animated clips,
robot animation. Yeah. So the program we record this podcast on is called Riverside.fm. Shout out to Riverside. And they've introduced these AI type of filters that they'll put over these things that I've been using them to put up on Instagram and socials. But it seems I'm sensitive, as a creative to the AI usage, and I've not really been excited I've not taken the plunge. I've not been an early adopter of the AI world. But we were just saying before we started recording was, that this almost feels like the least of the bad use case scenario for AI of making dumb social media, like 1 minute, 30-second to 1 minute clips of a podcast. Is that the least offensive version of AI you could possibly make?
I think like what we were saying is that it feels like to me this is not something that someone would even be able to spend the time doing and make any money from.
Right. Yeah.
Like this is like an extra of like, oh my God, because of AI. I'm sure that all of the research and development and everything that went into this was horrible for artists and creatives.
Yeah.
But the actual output, it's not like, hey, they edited and storyboarded our whole this thing and we used to pay someone for that. No, we don't.
Right.
This is more like, wow, wait, we can make ourselves into alien faces and put it on Instagram. What about MySpace? Can we put it on our MySpace page?
It definitely feels like digital trash. You know what I mean? Just more of this computers talking to computers. Like maybe somebody AI will view the media that another AI made and then write a generated comment about somthing that has nothing to do with the clip.
Like the AI fight.
Yeah,
like AI fighting with another AI about how horrible that AI version. Yeah. The mouth isn't even barely moving. This sucks. This is horrible. We do much better aliens over at myai.com.
Yeah. We will find out. Yeah, I'm very skeptical of all this. Like anybody in a good Gen X Xennial, age bracket should be. My feeling is that, all the AI advancements in entertainment, I just don't think people are gonna. It's just gonna get played out and boring and ugly and almost, it's gonna have the opposite reaction. So the taste making changes of it all. I guess I suppose it keeps up with that in some algorithmic way, but it just doesn't. People are just gonna get sick of it, like any other thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, I think, and this is, there's multiple ways to think of this, because we're also in a place where allegedly companies have put AI into our government system to like go, that was one of the big like Palantir kind of things, the Elon Musk things at the beginning, Doge, of like, well, we're going to put our AI algorithm into here and make this much more efficient or whatever. That's the main, that, I mean,
yeah, that's garbage.
Listen,
I don't want to take anybody's jobs
and all of that.
I don't want to rip off anybody's intellectual property.
1,000%. But the fact that all of this other stuff is like, oh my God, look at how great. And I feel like this is like the Tesla thing too, right? Like that was all the out front to get people excited to give their money, like to invest in Tesla or to buy stock or whatever. I'm like, oh, look at this guy. He's so great. He's so smart. And he's making all this stuff. And I'm going to give him all my money. And really, most of that money was then used for satellites to potentially rig the election. Have you seen this?
Oh God, no.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know anything about this.
I think in the next couple
this
weeks,
news has not been vetted, but this is coming
I think
out.
In the next couple weeks it's starting to get. It seems like it's starting to get traction from like MSNBC and CNN. But anyway, yeah. I feel like the AI stuff is like they show you all of this, like we can make your face into lizard face, and we can help you edit your paper that you're writing, and all of that stuff is the normal stuff that gets people excited and goes like, wow, this is kind of cool technology. I should invest in this, or I should pay $10 a month for this service or whatever. But then really that investment is really going to like some nefarious AI, like, guess what? We don't need government anymore because we have AI. And AI has no face, just like your federal agents.
Got it. You're right. Yeah.
Or like deals. That's like the crypto thing, right? Remember, like they got everybody into crypto by using the art, like all these artists, and oh my God, look at this is going to be this next thing, and you can put your, which is totally valid. It is true that even like if you were to attach like a monetary, a crypto, wallet number, and every time your artwork, even physical artwork, every time it's sold, it has to go through this crypto system, and you could get paid.
I got bamboozled by Web3.
I think that physically that is like it, that if that were the case, that would be amazing for musicians and artists and everything.
Sure.
But then it turns out like, well, either that was a lot of people going, no, I swear this can work, and that just didn't work. Or it's a lot of people going, how could we get a little bit more money into this whole crypto thing? How can we get some advertisement from artists and from cool people on the internet or whatever? And and then really the crypto thing was for Donald Trump to make $200 billion or whatever. Jesus. And like on his crypto coin it is legal. What is legal anymore? I don't know. Are things illegal if no one will
if there's no government,
no one gets in trouble, is it illegal?
Yeah.
That's a whole different rabbit hole. Let's get dark early. Let's get dark at the first, and then we'll pick the podcast up by the end, and we'll just be laughing.
Well, I was gonna say we did have a movie homework assignment where we were talking about putting AI into the government. I was like, ooh, that's like our war games part for our movie. But I want to save that to closer to the end for our halftime. What do we call it? Our sci-fi by my fi sci-con movie club.
Yes, exactly.
But I want to make sure we hit on last week's interview with Juan Velasquez from Abe Vigoda.
Yeah.
I had so much fun talking with them and catching up. It had been a long time, and I was glad it worked out and we could make the time and do it.
Well, I always love hearing all of your stories, I feel like it's a history lesson for me, like hearing all those bands. Cause I was a little, not necessarily just older. I know it was funny when during that you were the old guy in that conversation. And I loved that when you were like, yeah, I felt like I was like, this is cool. We're playing with all these cool bands, but then everybody was like just young enough for it to feel awkward sometimes, to be like, okay, I'm like 25. Should I be hanging out with like 19-year-olds and 18-year-olds? And that, but that was me like 5 years before that. Like when I first got to town, when I met like Dean, right? Like Dean was like 18 maybe.
Yeah.
And I was 25.
Too young. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But there were all these kids like doing all these crazy shows, and I'm like, yeah, I want to go watch these bands. And then you go there and you're like, there's a lot of high school kids here. I'm just going to sit in the back. I love the band. I'm going to stay away from whatever's going on there in the front. But that, and I think that is a funny thing, especially to think back now and go like, oh my God, I was 25. I was not, I felt like I was so old sometimes hanging out with those dudes, and like everybody had just turned 21. Some people still were just almost 21.
Yeah. Well, the difference between 20 and 25 is such a huge gulf compared to 50 and 45.
Oh yeah. Or even, I mean, 25 and 30 is still a big jump, but then once you get above 30,
yeah, 30 to 35, 35 to 40. Yeah.
You're just you feel better physically, like when you're younger, but you can, like a 30-year-old and a 40-year-old can hang out and it's pretty normal.
Yeah.
I think for the most.
But no, I mean, I've experienced that. I was always, like the little brother, I grew up having older brothers about, 10, 11 years older than me. So I was very comfortable with being the young kid, kind of kid tag along brother. And I think I got to experience a lot of music early because of that, and a lot of culture and going to concerts and things. But then, but then it just made me so acutely aware of like, wait, how am I the oldest person here? I'm the young person here. And then you're like, oh no, this is happening to me. So I think
you're looking around at the other people going, wait a second,
where did all the old people go? No, like, oh, me. If you can't find the old person in the room or in the venue, then it's you. Yeah. Then that's how you know. You're like, oh, I'm the old person. Shit. But it didn't really it hasn't really, playing a lot of all ages shows and being around all that stuff. I got okay with it. But it just felt like there was lanes, I just stayed in my lane. Like I said, it kind of felt like it was more the dad role, or that was the big brother role to sort of.
And that doesn't always happen. There's a lot of old dudes that stick around and hang out with the young kids.
Yeah. No, I knew there was a line, in that kind of way.
But,
yeah,
that's a whole different personality.
Yeah. Right. But I definitely didn't feel old. So where I was like, okay, I'm on the older side of this, but we're all doing the same thing. We're here to play music. And I knew I had a place in the room, you know what I mean? Like, my job is, if I had a job, like I'm going to go play the music, or I'm doing sound, or I'm doing something, I had a reason to be there. But then, but I went to see a show just as an audience member, and, just this last year. And then I realized like, oh, I'm like now these kids are like in their 20s, and now I'm in my 40s. Now there's a big difference. Yeah. It is the kind of thing I was like, this hurts. This hurts.
I told you that our friend's son, Tate, who's in like 5 different bands now, it's like the hardcore band and the straight edge band and the acoustic band, like emo band and the screamo band. But we went to go see him. This was a while ago, and I think I talked about this. Yeah. And I went to go up, and I was like, "Yeah, we're here to see One Way Mirror. Should be on the list." And she's like, "Just go in."
You're older than me.
And I was like, "Oh, right, I'm fit." They're like, "You're obviously like an uncle or something. Just go in. You're not. We know. Yeah, it's fine.
You're fine. Yeah."
And then when you get in there, and I had my camera and stuff, and everyone's like, "Oh yeah, do you need space? Do you need to?
Do you need to sit down?
I'm not that old.
Do you need a chair? Like, is your hip gonna break?
Yeah." And we saw them. They played, and then like Piebald. Like came and played like a secret show at this like tiny little record store, and in Riverside, and it was the same thing. I was like up on a chair, like trying to take photos, and this kid goes, "Don't worry, I'll make sure no one touches you." It's like a younger, he's like, oh, make sure the old guy doesn't get hurt.
Yeah, I got you. I help my
guys,
grandma
I'm fine.
get
I'm
stuff
fine.
out of the cupboard. I could do this.
Yeah, and I'm like, I honestly, I don't feel like it was that long ago that I was going to these shows very regularly, even though if I do the math in my head, it was 20 years ago, which is crazy.
Yeah,
and it's crazy how much stuff hasn't changed in 20 years. Like all the style is pretty much, other than there's like less Spock haircuts and that, like that part of it
comes around, you never know. That could be,
but there's a little bit of that, but it's less like tight t-shirts, tight jeans. It's like super baggy jeans and tight t-shirts. So it's back to like late 90s kind of rave looking. But then all the dudes in the bands just are wearing like jeans and a t-shirt, like hardcore bands.
It's not that different.
It's totally the same. Yeah. But they're all their references, are like East Coast hardcore and like straight edge and all that. So they're like covering songs from the late 90s and early 2000s. And yeah, it's great. It's awesome.
So funny. Yeah. No, I think I feel like for my, I probably said this before, but my cutoff is always Power Rangers. Like if you're a kid, you're like, yeah, Power Rangers. I was like, oh, okay, you're too young. We're not of the same thing. Like,
right.
That's where I drew the line. I was like, okay, I was into, whatever
Star
music.
Wars. And
I was listening to whatever, Nirvana or something.
Yeah.
Before, like I had officially gotten out of, kids cartoons and was doing that. But if we were talking like, He-Man, G.I. Joe, Mask.
Yeah.
I'm with it. The real Ghostbusters. I'm in for all of those. But then once the kids stuff, I think I left probably by 89, 90.
Isn't that funny?
10, 11 years old. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's funny now being a dad, it's like your kids are now teenagers, and my oldest is starting to get in that world where, he just told me he doesn't want his, like a kid iPad cover, like the real soft foamy plastic, foamy rubber iPad cover. It just looks like babyish. Can I get like a real iPad cover? I'm like, oh no.
Wow.
This is how this happens.
The vibe. The vibe is young, Dad.
Yeah.
Too young.
Too young. Yeah.
Look, man.
But I remember,
baby.
But for me, it was very much going from the 80s into the 90s. By the time, the 90s hit, I was 10, 11, 12. And like I said, with older brothers, I had a lot of access to the kind of the music and all the movies and shows, whatever they were watching.
Totally. Like I remember when my brother, because when I was younger, my brother used to listen to Raffi.
Oh,
remember Raffi?
Okay.
For kids music.
Sure. Yeah.
And I missed, like I was like
Sesame Street.
No idea.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was like Mr. Rogers Sesame Street, and he was like Raffi, whatever. And I don't know why that sticks in my head that I was just like, that is baby music.
That was your line.
And that was my cutoff whatever year Raffi came around.
Yeah.
That was my baby. Like, I don't listen to this baby music anymore.
Yeah.
I am now listening. I don't know what
well, yeah, now our
youngest, probably
He-Man
or something,
Yeah, our
like
youngest
TV.
Mostly wants meme music, when he's controlling the playlist in the car.
Totally.
But he's gotten into the Italian brain rot, ecoverse, and then there's a lot of bad songs, and I could see the eyes rolling in our 11-year-old's head like every time he puts on a Italian brain rot song, and he's 6 and loves it, and then it's officially. But I was like, you were playing these songs, or songs like this, like the fart songs and all those things just like a year ago, but now
I don't remember those days, Dad.
No, it wasn't
back.
Me. That's what. Yeah, I don't. Well, I wanted to tell him about the iPad. I was like, there's a reason they have these giant, puffy iPad covers because you destroyed 3 iPads by the time you were 6 years old. By the time you were his age, you were a terrorist on these things. So I know you're very mature now. However, we got these this baby proofed, very soft, very very comfortable iPad covers because of you, friend. You were the reason.
Very mature.
You ruined it for him. Yeah, he never got to have a cool one.
Dude, that's so funny. It's so weird going through all this stuff because now our kids listen to regular music, but for a long time
music.
It got to like the Minecraft songs where it was like, but it was like the remakes of the real songs, but with Minecraft, like building block, like mining and whatever, and
parody
then
Weird Al versions.
Parody, totally. And then Lila started listening to real. She would come home. I think I've told this one, but she's like, "Dad, have you heard this band Korn?" And I was like, "Yes."
Why do you ask?
Wow. She's like, "I have some good songs." And then she played this song for me, and I really have only listened to the Korn songs that were on the radio. They're like, wow, wow, whatever. And then there were a couple songs I'm like, all right, this is just like this is just metal, like it's less like growling, like none of that stuff, and it was just like a 90s metal. I'm like, okay, this could be like White Zombie-ish kind of. All right, yeah, you can listen to this one song. But she would put it on playlists with Black Sabbath or something else, and then all these songs that go together. Hence the like no history, like there's no
flat
like
circle of time. Like
I don't know any of these. I don't know what these people look like. I just hear them. It came up on some meme, and I plopped it into my, I liked it, so I put it in with Sabrina Carpenter, and it goes great.
Yeah, we never knew. Who knew?
Like,
our 11-year-old asked if Led Zeppelin was a person. Or like who is Led Zeppelin? I was like, it's a band. He's like, okay, so it's not just a person. I was like, no, it's 4 people.
You're like, finally, the question that every young boy has asked for years.
It was a major milestone. His watershed moment. Like
I remember telling my dad about Led Zeppelin.
Oh,
Dad, I heard this band. I think you'd really like it. I was like, what's that? And he's like, I'm like, Led Zeppelin. And he just looks at me and he goes,
get out of here.
How do you know Led Zeppelin? With this kind of proud, but kind of,
like, are you smoking weed, son?
Yeah, because I was like, I must have been 12 or 13. But again, it was my friend Matt's older brother that would make us mixtapes. And I was like, yeah, there's this song called Stairway to Heaven. I think you'd really like it. It has like really good guitar parts. And he's like, yeah.
Maybe I'll check it out.
He's like, I've heard that song before.
That's amazing. So man, speaking of Stairway to Heaven, I just saw the music store where they filmed Wayne's World, the Wayne's World 1, the first one, where he's told he can't play Stairway to Heaven, is going out of business. But I didn't realize it was so close to us where we are here in LA. And I was taking the kids to Costco, get a hot dog and fill up the tank of gas. And on the way to the car wash after, I wish Costco had a car wash. That'd be great. But I was going to the car wash after. This is like 2 weeks into summer vacation. We're already into the part of, okay, kids, like, let's go to Costco and get a car wash. We've entered that point of summer break. But we drove by the music store. And I was like, oh wait, we're pulling a Yui. Come on, we gotta go and pay our respects to Wayne's World and to this thing. And it was great. They had a whole setup in it. They had the white Stratocaster in the glass case and the No Stairway to Heaven sign, and
no way,
and some posters up and stuff. Yeah, it was really cool.
That's cool.
I took pictures with the kids in front of it. I was like, you don't know what this is, but you'll like this later.
Did you know that place existed for a long time, or is this like
I had driven by it a few times, but I didn't realize it was the Wayne's World thing and then I saw a note, I saw a thing on social media that was saying that, this store was going out of business. And then when I drove by, I was like, going out of business sale, everything must go. I was like, oh, let's be fun. I bought some guitar straps just to sort of at least, pull some money out of my wallet,
Yeah.
But yeah, it was great. It was great. It was good to see it. That's
awesome.
Happy.
That means the algorithm does work. It hit you right. It was like, this guy, this is the exact point.
He's in the right zip code.
All the pieces, the zip code, plus like the 80s and 90s, like cultural stuff, plus the music, plus
it somehow got my
plus
number.
An a collector of all things, halfway broken to loud.
But it's still one of those things where you just, LA is so surprising. Oh, which, maybe this is a good segue into our war games thing, but just, that you can find locations, that you can find these filming locations.
Oh yeah.
In Los Angeles. I mean, that's the one thing I suppose with AI and filming on green screens, there'll be less and less locations.
Yeah.
Are you okay? Is there a
animal
attacking?
No, it's fine. I hear someone yelling outside, and then
my
dog started barking, but I think she's just barking at the neighbor's cat. So
good.
But I guess up here though.
Yeah. But yeah, no, it was great to talk to Juan and just get to catch up kind of in the post Abe Vigoda world. And it's been so great, kind of following his music journalism career and just seeing all the great interviews he has and just seeing him really live the name of the show, the Hyphenate idea, go from musician to journalist. But with so much information and so much life experience on the front side of his career that really informs, writing about music and writing about queer music specifically and being able to really relate to artists and have an inside track there. It's incredible.
It's so cool how he's like, how he talked about being 100% in when sorry, can you hear my dog?
Oh, that's all right.
Going crazy. Can you stop? We'll have AI edit this. We'll see if it catches it. AI, edit that last 10 seconds if you hear this.
Yeah.
We'll see how good it is.
Yeah.
No, but when he was even talking about being in the band and being like how he really loved the hustle. Like the hustle was his part. And then him talking about starting the second band and the third band, and the people going, we just wanted to be in a band for fun. And this seems like it's getting real serious. And just I do love that when he said, I just want to, I loved being 100% in. And I think that's real. Like when you're young and you're doing these creative things and you're like, this is my only plan. I don't have any other plans. Like I'm going to be in a band, or I'm going to be a photographer, or I'm going to be an artist. And if that takes me sleeping on floors and being in an apartment with 6 different people and paying $50 for rent and eating noodles, and like when you can actually just do that for a certain number of years. And I think even when he said that it took him a while to realize that not that many people did that, and I felt kind of the same way. I think like even with photography, it's like once you surround yourself with everybody that you kind of work with or hang out with or whatever, everyone's doing that. It just seems so normal. I was like, well, yeah, I mean, that person's making a living ish with photography, and that person's making a living ish with their band, and this person's a graphic designer, and this person, and none of us really have jobs, but we're all working and making money. And I guess like this is how you do it. I don't know. You get to know that person books you and that person, and you just get in this world where it's like, well, when everyone's hustling around you, you don't realize it's a hustle. Kind of.
Right. Yeah. You think it's normal. Right. Yeah. This is my social group. We're all just winging it. We're like, going to the blackjack table or going to the roulette table every weekend. And it's like, I don't know, this could be it. Is this
seems fun?
And then someone says, well, that's your career. You're like, no, that wasn't a career. That was me just, that was me jumping up on stage and pretending I knew what I was doing and trying not to throw up from being so scared and nervous.
It was me not wanting a career.
Yeah. Oh, but it's wild, especially when it works. You know what I mean? When it turns around, because I think the hard part is, or the part that would be normal is like, oh yeah, well then I failed, and then I got then I figured something else out to do. Like anybody can get up on stage like doing open mics or something, or busking. You're like, oh yeah, I did that for a few years, and then I went on to do something else. But when it turns and it's like, oh, you actually, you put a record out, or you do a tour, you do those things, you're like, oh no, this is I'm going to be doing this for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
Like, this
it's
is
only
never
up from here.
It's never going to end, and then it does. You're like, oh wait, what?
Yeah.
Is this supposed to happen?
It's only going to get better and better.
It's got to build it all again. Do it all again.
Yeah. And then you realize how much time that went into the social part. And I think this is why like most bands and even artists and photographers have like kind of a window. There's a couple different windows, but that early window is really like much more wide open when you're younger.
Mm-hmm.
Because you just have so much more energy and time because there's less things that you have to do. I also think your brain moves a little faster or something. I don't know what it is. Like a day, like, those times where you go like for 1 4-month period, even when I'll go back and look through photo stuff and I'm looking through an old photo or for an old photo, and I'll see for like 4 months, I'm like, oh, I remember it was in March of whatever, 2010. And then I'll look and I'm like, I did 15 shoots in March of 2010. And it was like, oh yeah. And those was like, that was one of my favorites. And I traveled to here and I did this and I did. I'm like, how did I, wait, where you have the time to do this? Like, I don't even remember this one. Right. And like this one, like, oh, well, I did this one in the morning. And then this one, I was at some show at the night. And then the next morning I was in Santa Monica. And then the next afternoon, and you just look at that and like, oh yeah, if I had to do that now 1 week, and I'd be like, no, I'm done. I'm out. This is crazy. What are you expecting me to do? But I feel like there was that also when you're young is just it's such a creative time because you're also trying to figure out who you are, and you're really open to new friendships and like meeting people, especially when you're kind of in that hustle. You're like, well, of course I got to go out and meet people, because what if that person's going to end up booking a show next week? Or because that happens. Like everybody that that became booking agents at some point were just like someone you met at someone's house or a show, or they were working at a coffee shop or whatever and learned how to do something, and that something ended up being like, well, now that person owns like the most popular record label in Los Angeles right now or whatever. It's just goofy. I don't know.
But everybody was just somebody. We're all just a bunch of people in a crowd at some point, you know what I mean? And you go, oh yeah, there's I think there's something about it too, like when you're young in that kind of way where you just your gut, they like trust your gut, or like your intuition is so sensitive to everything too. Like there's a way of making sense of the social situations you're in, meaning like, oh, this is a hot thing, or this person's got a lot of juice going for them. I want to be around this person, or I want to be at this place, or you could start to, you almost like read the aura of the room. You can read the temperature of the room. Like, okay, this is a hot room. I'm just going to be, just me being in here means something good is going to happen.
Yeah. Totally.
I don't feel that anymore. Maybe I'm just not going to hot room, but it's also I think my bullshit meter is so high. I'm like, fuck are all these people? But when you're a kid, it's like, oh yeah, this is cool. I'm in a cool place. Even if you didn't talk to anybody, just being seen, you want to go out and see people and be seen sort of feeling, I guess. I don't know. Yeah. I just don't give a shit anymore, I think.
I feel like there was, for me, there was a lot of positivity wrapped around everything. So it's like, if people were doing things, I was in. Like if a friend was in a band, even if I wasn't my favorite, I'm like, it's amazing. I'm there. Like, and when they're playing, even if I don't like the music, it felt like the best thing ever. Right? You're like, this is great. You guys are doing it. This is, and I feel like everything was kind of wrapped in that positive, like this is going to go somewhere. Like everything was going to go somewhere.
Right.
And like
all green lights, everything was an open road ahead.
Totally. And I think too, that when, like I've gone back and listened to like a band will pop into my head and be like, oh my God, I listened to that CD for like a year. And I'll go back and listen to it and go, oh wait, this is like, these songs are real long and clunky. They could have stopped that right there.
That 4-minute
it was like
intro.
way more, way more judgmental and kind of like, and I've gone and seen a couple shows. I don't see a ton of shows, but I've gone and seen a couple, and like the opening band, we're like, oh, this sounds cool. And then like half a song in, I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah, I got it. I'm bored. Yeah. And I never used to do that. I was always like, I'm in. Like, get me up to the front. Right. This is exciting. This is going to be the new thing, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I love that feeling too. I mean, it just reminds me, even small shows. It wasn't even like a show that if it was like packed, like, oh man, there's so many people here. But you could be at just a show and you feel the energy. There's just energy in the room. Even if the band hasn't played yet, sometimes that's when you feel it the most. It's just kind of a crackling electricity in a space, and it's the people there, and then the band comes on, and you're like, oh, okay, this is something. But I definitely remember, at some point, in the last 2 decades that, there was a moment where everybody was, Power Ranger generation into the next generation, keep falling down the rabbit hole to the, we're the Teletubby generation, to the next generation, so the things keep going lower and lower. And I'm like, and they're all excited about this thing. And then I see the band and I'm like, yeah, I'm not, this isn't me. This isn't for me. These aren't my audience. This is not my people. Like, this is not my music. This is not my thing. But I can see they're all excited, but I just I'm not feeling it anymore. My sensor closed or whatever it is.
Yeah.
I'm not going to pretend. I'm not going to pretend that this is exciting for me. Even I can tell it's exciting for them. But
totally.
I'm just not there. So
totally.
But in a way, I wasn't bummed or jealous or anything. It was just cool. This is great for you. And even this record by this Chicago band Lifeguard just came out this last week, and it's been great. And Juan actually did a great interview for Teen Vogue with Lifeguard, and it's getting lots of great reviews, which I'm really stoked for them and for the band. And they had a lot of fun making it. But there was a time at some point when we were making the record, they were asking what do you think about this band? What do you think about this band? They were all young. They're, some of the members of Lifeguard were still in high school when we made the record, and they're asking me about bands, and they were kind of talking shit, or they were just, just like anybody would do, or we love this band, we don't like this band, this is that, and they'd play it for me and go, what do you think? And I was like, I don't feel it's right. I can't even I'm dunking on kids at a basketball game or something. I can't even talk shit here. This is how far out of the circle I am, in terms of just age or culture or something. I'm not gonna make fun of these guys or talk shit on anybody. It's I can't honestly have an opinion about this. It wasn't made for me. Yeah, it's not. My opinion has zero value. In this thing. And
I like the snare sound.
Yeah, but again, it's the kind of thing where I'm I don't even know how to praise it or how to disregard it. It's the kind of thing I'm just I don't know.
You don't have any, you just don't have any, what's my barometer?
Right. I think that's what
I don't have the barometer.
I'm so in the dark here. I can't even, I get it. It's a band. If they're nice guys or nice people, then good for them. If they're dicks, I can't tell from the music even. I don't even know what the references of references are just so lost on me. It used to be to kind of figure out oh, guys that played this music sounded or probably like this attitude, or if they played that, they sound like that. Or, you could kind of even infer what would be, if this is a coked out disco band or something, or some other kind of thing. But you're just I don't even know what this means. I don't know if you make this music, what kind of person are you? I don't even know what you look like. I don't know anything about this. I'm literally an alien hearing something for the first time. So no context.
It's all garbage.
but that's not the case. I didn't think it's it's not that I dislike it, but I just couldn't even.
You just don't even have a barometer. I think
that's the hardest part when I realize okay, I'm out of those kind of conversations. That's some of the best conversations you can have, when you're hustling and you're young and you're doing stuff is, you make friends with people because you like similar stuff, but probably even more so it's because you hate the same thing or you're annoyed by the same things too. You can talk shit about the same stuff. That seems to draw a group together so much better than the stuff you like.
Totally.
I remember we did one tour with my other band Rat Fist and with the band and we were in the van with this younger band and they were talking earnestly about the Blink 182 bass sound. How do you get that Blink 182 bass tone? I remember turning to my other member of the Rat Fist and I was like, is this a joke? Are they making fun of this thing? Is this? And then realizing they were serious. I was like, oh no, I can't have a conversation about how good the Blink 182 bass tone is. That's not even a thing. That's ridiculous. I think you just plug direct into the soundboard and then just go DI direct and it'll sound like that.
You're like, did you say Velvet Underground? Oh, never mind.
There's lots of conversations I can have about music, but there's some of us just again, I have no opinion. What are you even talking about? That's like asking, Like, I don't know. what kind of, I don't even know. What kind of windshield wiper fluid do you like? I think it all does the same thing. It's not really, I really want to get this one. I had this one windshield wiper fluid once. It was great.
The vintage.
Blink 182.
You haven't used the vintage?
Jesus Christ.
The vintage.
Or just of all the things that band does that's notable, like the bass tone and the bass playing is not the thing.
It's not.
I mean, there's lyrics, there's a drummer, there's a guitar player even, and there's a lot of things about that band that would stand out. But to have to
bass tone is not one that you would put on the list.
I don't know. I couldn't even recall it from memory.
You never listened to it. You never listened for it, but now that you have, you've realized
that's the secret.
That's
sauce.
The secret. That's what it was. It was actually the bass tone the whole time. That's hilarious.
Yeah,
it is. It is weird though. It is weird because I feel like all the music is always referencing something from the past, but since you never grew up in the past, you're just taking a little vibe of whatever from the past seems cool now. So it's like, even when we were like, everybody was, or a lot of people were starting to like do the kind of garage rock was coming back, and the tight pants and the Beatle boots and the whole thing. But it wasn't because they weren't playing Hard Day's Night or like even old Rolling Stones or anything like that. It was just like, no, that vibe is cool. Like, it's a cool vibe. But we're going to make punk music. We're going to speed it way up, and it's going to be like punk instead. And you're like, okay, I guess we're going to look like the old Rolling Stones almost exactly, especially in LA. You get that, like when that one thing comes in, like when Suit Jackets came in like 2004, and all of a sudden you like the Strokes or whatever, and you look around and you're like, wait, why is everyone wearing a suit jacket? Did I miss, like, literally it was like in a week.
Yeah.
And like, did I miss a whole fashion? Did I miss the whole vibe? I guess I missed the whole vibe.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
I gotta get a white belt.
Like, I thought everybody hated the Strokes. So you hate the Strokes, but then you look like everyone wants to look like them, but but you can't like them. All right. Vibe checked, my friends. Vibe checked.
I think,
Good times.
Yeah. So, I was going to say, when we were talking about movie locations earlier, we watched War Games to kick off our dystopian sci-fi survey of popular Hollywood films, and War Games starring Matthew Broderick and Dabney Coleman and Ali Sheedy. Amazing. Yeah. They looked so young, right? They looked like babies. I couldn't believe, like, Matthew Broderick as a teenager. He must have been 24, but he literally looked like he was 12.
Yeah.
He looked so young in that film.
I realized a couple things that I feel like Matthew Broderick changed the vibe of of leading men.
Ooh, go on.
Because he has this kind of stuttery, emo kind of, like, he talks in a little bit of a baby voice.
Baby
he has
Joshua.
But like, even when he like, and it brought me to, because it was funny, because when I had it on and Lila was going to watch it with me, and then she's like, "Oh, it's Ferris Bueller." I'm like, right. This was before
Ferris Bueller,
but right before Ferris Bueller, but he was still in high school in this movie, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then he was in high school in Ferris Bueller, which was like 5 years later.
He was in high school for probably about 20 years.
Yeah, easily. But he had that baby voice. Remember when he'd talk to his mom in Ferris Bueller and be like, "I'm okay, mommy. I'm okay, mom." But he has that kind of vibe the whole time, but he's this kind of leading man boy. But he has this kind of baby voice. Everything's okay. Like, I don't know. It was very weird. I was like, oh, right. That became like the sensitive leading man character a little bit. Like, it led to like Michael J. Fox.
Oh, right,
right? Like these kind of like,
Sure.
we don't need these big tough guys. These are like these little sensitive guy kind of leading characters.
Sure, out of the 70s, from like a Steve McQueen to now these high school sort of things. Yeah, I could see that.
But just what's known as a leading male character or whatever.
Right. Yeah. Well, the 80s films and the high school films and teenage films in the 80s were like nothing else had ever come before. Fast Times at Ridgemont High to all the John Hughes.
But those were later though, right?
Yeah.
But it's War Games was 1983.
Yeah. I mean, I think Fast Times is happening right next to there. But was I going to say? Oh, but it's splinters, because then you have your Stallones and Schwarzeneggers. Totally. You know what I mean? So it's almost like hyper masculine and then kind of like demasculined sort of teenage leading men to then these like muscle bound monsters of pure testosterone, guns and muscles.
What do you mean? What do you mean, Randy?
So
I am so sensitive. Shut up! Shut up!
I mean, I think, someone like Steve McQueen almost embodies both of those, where he could be a sensitive guy, in the getaway coming out of prison and crying, and then going on a bank robbing spree.
Right.
Where there was nuance with that. Then it's sort of like just, split them in two. We need two different people. We need the sensitive people and we need the muscular people, or the violent people.
Yeah. But I was
sorry.
Go ahead.
Oh yeah,
start with this.
I think it was great, because it was definitely one of those things. I think I remember so many times as a kid trying to watch it and just being bored to death. Like it didn't have the Ferris Bueller's sort of joke per minute kind of thing, and the rapid fire and the the needle drop sort of soundtrack of all the popular music and everything. It was it has the Lauren-full chromatic harmonica, like a Toots Thielemans sort of the thing that was very 70s, it's that kind of thing. Like it's 83, but probably was conceived of, and everybody that made the film was more rooted in a 70s sort of aesthetic. Yeah. And so like that kind of sad, wistful harmonica music that was, sort of popular in the 70s, but it hadn't really turned the key like something like Fast Times, which even still features a lot of 70s music, but still it's it was very much a rock radio, pop rock soundtrack.
Totally. And tons of jokes, and this was I was pleasantly surprised that it was good.
Yeah,
like I was ready for it to just be like, oh. And but then also how much like it had really great callbacks, like every single thing. It was so specific to like every single thing that was like hung up on the wall, or that they pushed in on for 1 second, and it would come back in the movie like 10 minutes later. Like, the pen, or whatever it was.
smart filmmaking and
like that very succinct. But then it really did remind me of the flow of E.T., right, where there's like all this stuff happening at the house, and then they're outside and they're running from some kind of agency that's just can't quite catch them. And like are showing up at their house. And then he's being arrested, but instead of arresting him, they take him to the base, and then, or where the CENTCOM or whoever they were. NORAD. Yeah. And then he's like, they won't listen to him, and he's got he knows how to do it, but he knows how to fix everything, but they won't listen to him. And so they put him in a room, but the room, he's like MacGyver's his way to be able to get out of the room with there just happens to be a tape recorder in there. It's so great.
It's great. It's totally great.
It's so awesome. And then there's like they show the cop or the Fed, whatever he was, military police. And the reason that he's able to sneak out the door is because that guy is totally accosting the secretary. Oh, which was a very 80s thing of like, get your hands off me, you bad guy, you bad boy, whatever. And I'm like, wow, this was really normalized. Like when you watch that, I'm like, oh yeah, of course. But they're also showing him as a creep, but they're also showing her just like slapping his hand off and going, I need to get to work.
Normal to where like sexual harassment.
Yeah, total 80s. Like workplace sexual harassment is just normal. But then when they go to the island.
Oh yeah, it's very Pacific Northwest coded, right? Like, did you feel this was Spokane?
They were in Seattle.
They were in Seattle, and then
I think it was in Seattle, right?
To Portland or somewhere near. It was somewhere in Oregon with the island.
Yes.
Like in Oregon. Yeah.
Yeah. Or was it Was it?
I thought the island was in Oregon because she had to fly down. I spent a little time digging on the locations because I recognized the high school as the same high school from Rock and Roll High School, the Ramones movie.
No way.
And I was like, where is this? This is and Shan and I had this long talk. Like, is that Marshall High School? The one they shot Grease in? That's the one that's in Eagle Rock. They shot everything, or not? That's in Silver Lake, Los Feliz.
Yeah,
right there by the Hyperion, by the Trader Joe's.
Yeah,
like there's that big high school, and it's like is this the one that we looked at? I was like, no, it's not that one. I was like, it's the one from Rock and Roll High School. So I had to look it up, and it's in El Segundo. It's been in a million movies. Yeah, that outside of that thing is a classic, high school location, big brick building. And then I kept going down the locations of where they shot everything, and the 7-Eleven where he gets arrested the first time when they pick him up, is in Big Bear. It's the 7-Eleven in Big Bear. Yeah, I know it's not in your town, but it's close, neighboring in there. But they were shooting all around Southern California, and they still shot movies in LA.
Oh, so they were shooting up there to make it look like the Pacific Northwest.
Yeah, they would probably get establishing shots, or some helicopter shots of the water and the trees, and then they could just cut to them up in Big Bear at a 7-Eleven.
That's so funny.
Put some Washington plates on the cars.
Yeah, totally. Oh, that's amazing. And then when he's flying the pterodactyl around.
How weird was that?
So good. It's so good.
It's like, what are they trying to do with this? They're trying to introduce this whole other character. I did feel like there was the change of heart of the scientist was very unmotivated. There was no real reason.
100%.
The change of heart is suddenly now he's on their team. He's in.
Yeah, he just knew, and he knew
cut something.
Yeah, he knew even at the end. Well, he kind of knew how to fix it, but he's like, "It's your turn. You need to do it." And I'm like, "Dude, the whole world is gonna it's gonna explode." Like, no, you got this. You're gonna fix this. I know the codes, but you got to figure this out. You have to
use the Force.
You have to. Should I give away the ending?
Yeah, of course.
You have to make the computer play itself in tic-tac-toe.
No,
I love that. And the computer's just
they set it up ahead of time. It's like it's a futile. You can't win. It's war is a game you can't win. It kept reminding me of Dr. Strangelove as well. With all of these kind of like government people. Oh, hit your mic again. It's buzzing. One more. There you go. Good. Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, reminded me kind of Dr. Strangelove, sort of the situation room, the war room, and is this real? What's happening? Got to call the president, get him on the phone. I did feel like Dabney Coleman should have been in it more. He definitely got sidelined as the movie went through. It's like they forgot he was in the movie for part of it. They had about 3 or 4 adult characters in the male, authority figures. They could have just collapsed those characters in the writing stage. It was just like, now we got cast Dabney Coleman. Just give him the role of the general too. He's the general and the scientist.
Totally.
Just so he'd have more time on screen.
I agree. But it was one of the things that was very strange to me that it was because it was in 1983. That I was trying to think of the fact that someone would have the internet at their house.
Oh, right. This dial-up.
And just go God, the first time I ever even heard of dial-up or someone having a modem in their house was it had to be 90, 91. Yeah, and I'm really 7 years earlier, this was a notion that was happening
on government levels only, not a consumer.
But I mean, the kid had it.
Yeah, but he's not really a kid. I mean, again, it's like he's
like a scientist or whatever. But so
they cheated that a little bit. I think they even kind of made it seem like it was easier to do all that stuff than I'm sure it was even at the time.
Well, because and what I thought was interesting, and I would love to hear if this movie was partially funded by NORAD or whatever, or some kind of government, whatever, when they want that IBM information to be
was the biggest, push behind it, to get people excited about home computers.
And because he's explaining to her of no, see, look what it is. It's phone numbers. And when I type in it's oh, you're teaching everybody watching this kind of how the internet works years before they're going to be able to access it.
Yeah.
But there's this like little teaching stage.
But the first thing I remember was like Prodigy. I remember my uncle had Prodigy. It was like before AOL. It was sort of just like an encyclopedia sort of thing you could do, with a home desktop. You have to pay, I don't know how much you paid for that, but in the old
that
sounds,
That's the first thing I remember hearing about was that our neighbor or a family friend was telling us about. I was like, yeah, it's great. It's like this encyclopedia, and you just put in words in your computer that you want definitions of, and it will tell you tell you the definitions right away. I'm like, wow. But it's over the phone lines, so you don't have. And I remember hearing that going,
the other phone.
Wow, that seems amazing.
Yeah, no, I remember the Web 1.0.
Yeah,
that's
big deal.
Huge. Yeah, I remember I went to the Tom Yeddo website. It was like the skate distributor for like Toy Machine and Foundation and Pig Wheels. I don't even know if Pig was there back then, but it was like what I need to find a website. I remember like looking like I think I'd just gotten a Toy Machine skateboard or something, or I had something that said TomYeddo.com. I'm like, okay, that's a website that says .com after it. http://www.tomyeddo.com.
Yeah, and you go on, and I remember that. I mean, they had message boards and all sorts of stuff in there. Right?
Yeah. Well, yeah. Yep. I mean, as I got older too, I remember that was a big thing about like finding shows. It's Southern Distribution, which was like an English cool indie record label and distributor, had it's like a database of all the bands that they put out and all of their tour dates, which doesn't seem like a big deal, but back then, you didn't know, there wasn't a centralized place to get all that information, like with going on southerndistribution.com or whatever it was called at the time, and just going onto the tour pages, because they had all these great bands. They distributed like Merge, Touch and Go, Matador, all the kind of the bigger indies for Europe, and so they would just have this long list of things. And so I found out about shows, like there was like bands I had heard of, like, oh look, they're playing at this at the El Rey on this day. And I don't know if I've told the story before on the podcast, but that was how I saw Superchunk and Yo La Tengo play at the El Rey. And we showed up there. I was like, oh, Yo La Tengo, I know them. I had that Electro Pure record by that point. And I showed up at the El Rey, and there was like a guy with a clipboard. And I was like, I'm here for Yo La Tengo. And like, okay, go in. And there was the huge banner behind the bands, and it said Mr. Show. Like, what's a Mr. Show? Like, is this, I'm here to see Yo La Tengo. I mean, that's the opening band, or I don't know what is that? And then at the end, but there was a lot of like Ben Stiller was there, I think, and Janine Garofalo was there. I'm like, whoa, this is so cool. And then at the end, these two guys, like one bald guy and one tall guy, got up on stage and sang with Superchunk. At the end, I'm like, who are these? Who's this Bob and David? What is a Mr. Show? And I think somehow we had snuck in to see like the Mr. Show like premiere party or something.
Oh, that's funny. So you just said you were here to see Yo La Tengo, and they're like, oh, great.
We didn't need tickets or anything. They didn't charge us anything. Yeah. We were like kids. I think it was like 3 or 4 of us. We had driven out from the suburbs. Just, I'd convinced some other friends to jump in my car and go.
Oh, that's amazing.
And it was great. But yeah, we were like, where are all these celebrities here? I'm like, yeah, that's just what's like going to shows in Hollywood. I don't know. Famous people are just there sometimes.
This place is cool.
We didn't put it together because we had never heard of Mr. Show, and I didn't have cable at the time. Even if it was out already, I didn't know what it was. And then it was like a year or two later, someone was like, "Oh, have you seen the Mr. Show?" I was like, "They're a band? What is it?" Like, yes, I know something about those words. I've seen those words before. I saw that there was at the concert, but I wouldn't have known that. But it was just on like the tour dates for Superchunk, I think, or for Yo La Tengo, and it's like, cool.
Oh, it's amazing. Well, and back then too, it's like so much of that stuff, like Kids in the Hall and everything, you would get like DVDs would just get sent, like passed around.
Yeah.
Too. Like you'd find out about that stuff because VHS or DVDs or like tapes, like Longmont Potion Castle.
Oh, right.
You remember those,
of
like
course.
the phone calls and stuff.
Elastical Gomez.
Yes. But all that stuff, it's amazing.
Yeah,
I love that.
But then it was funny. Years later, I worked at Rocket Video, the video store in Hollywood when I lived out there, and somebody from Mr. Show came and dropped off VHS tapes because I think HBO had pulled it off the, they'd canceled the show, but it wasn't like you could go see streaming what was, it had been taken out. So there was the only way to see Mr. Show was on these bootleg VHS tapes that people from the show, had. And they brought a set of the whole series to Rocket Video. But I remember it was like on a thing, like technically, legally, we couldn't rent it. So if you rented, we had a few shelves at Rocket Video of stuff that, legally you weren't allowed to rent for money, but if you rented something else, you could take something off the shelf, sort of thing.
So interesting.
Got around it. If you rented some other video, then you could take one of those videos home too. And so there was no ever actually money, but it made us a cool, video store because we had stuff that no one else had that you couldn't get. But
a very LA
weren't going to get busted, or the cops weren't going to, the FBI warning, they have before those. Don't pirate this video.
Oh, that's and that is a very LA thing. It was like when you'd go to garage sales in LA and stuff. Sometimes,
oh my God,
you'd be like, "This is property of Paramount Studios," and like, "Oh yeah, my uncle used to work for blah blah blah, so we got on the list for the trailer."
I went to the thrift. There's always great thrift stores on Fairfax back then, Fairfax and Beverly around there, and I went to one and they had all the Bubble Boy outtakes. It was like 3 or 4 VHS things that just said Bubble Boy dailies or something. Yeah. And so I bought them for, whatever, $1 each. And I don't know if I still have them in my VHS collection, but again, it was just so weird. I put it on and it was just like the dailies, like whatever they shot that day. It was Jake Gyllenhaal instead of a giant bubble, like trying to wash a car. And he does like 15 takes of it. He's like falling over and the hose is there and somebody comes in and the camera falls. It's like,
Love it.
That was not supposed to be out in the world. And it wasn't entertaining to the point like, oh my God, this is great. Like this is the best blooper reel ever. It was kind of boring, but it was just so weird to have. Like, what is this? But it was just sitting on the shelf, at a thrift store in Hollywood. Like, cool. I got the Bubble Boy outtakes.
Oh my God. I love it. I love it. All that stuff is so weird because it also just reminds you that all of these things that by the time they become, a album or they become a movie and they've touched so many hands to get to this point to where that's the magic and everything. But then you realize like, no, everybody's just working. They're just like doing stuff, and there's a lot of stuff gets thrown away, and there's a lot of stuff of that just gets left in storage bins, and just like I don't know where that stuff. I don't know. I moved on to the next thing. Like my brother-in-law, he's like retired, semi-retired now, but most of his job now is to go to garage sales and stuff. And
you were telling me, yeah.
But he has found multiple things. He's gotten now up a level. So he's gotten into like because they're out in Westlake. So there's like a lot of people from the industry and stuff. So he would find things like, that would be kind of collectible from time to time. And then he got into like, oh, well, you sell things on eBay, right? Well, I know this guy who has storage containers,
Storage Wars.
And then like, well, I know someone this guy has been collecting old paintings and prints from whatever when he was a drug dealer, like there's just so many like, oh yeah, of course, some LA stuff. And then, or when they were running a record label for years and had millions of dollars and they bought all this stuff. But he came across like a box of old Michael Jackson recordings.
Whoa. Never released, never before.
Kind of, yeah. But he went through the whole system of going to the Michael Jackson estate and registering it and all these things. But then they're like, yeah, this stuff is kind of out there, but these are the original recordings and of whatever songs they were. But like they were some outtakes, and there's like him talking on the microphone and all these things. But it's one of those weird LA like, yeah, I don't know. It ended up in this storage container because
did he sell them back to the estate, or did he was
trying
for something?
No, they didn't want him. They were like they didn't want him, but they agreed that they were real, and he
also
sell
can't
them
release them. He
can't release
the physical thing, but he can't make.
But he can sell them as memorabilia. So at last time he was trying to like sell them as memorabilia, but he can't ever you can't play them publicly. Or
he can't make
or
a copy,
obviously
distribute,
you can't
distribute copies of it. Yeah,
none of that stuff. but you could sell it as a memorabilia of a thing, but it just can't ever be like used to make money or released or anything.
Weird one. I mean, I guess it's the sort of thing like you buy, like,
and it was all okayed by the estate.
Like if you bought a negative of
Totally.
of a photographer, like, can you make prints and sell that
Mm-hmm.
if you own that negative?
Nope.
Right? Yeah.
Nope. I mean, you can make prints for yourself. You technically can't even make prints for yourself, but you could make.
Wow.
If you don't tell anybody, I guess.
Right. But it's interesting, right?
But you could own the negative.
Kind of intellectual property, again, kind of getting into that Web3 NFT sort of world of things of like, what do you really own? You know,
you could physically
own the IP, but you can own a copy or a print of a thing.
Yeah. And I mean, I have a lot. I did a whole book on found negatives, and that I found, like, all these negatives I found in St. Louis in like 2000.
Technically, the photographer could come after you if they found it.
I don't know. I added a bunch of stuff and re-photographed it, so it became more like a collage
sort of thing.
I mean, who knows? They're photographs that I probably, it was in an old burned out building, and I found them in, like, they were caked in mud for years and years. And so I found them and kept them. And then years later, I re-photographed them, like, on a light table with the mud. The dirt was still on them. And so there's more of like I was photographing something I found. And so the actual photograph, I wasn't trying to recreate an exact print. Sure. I was actually shooting it as a found object, I guess. Yeah. But it was just like a portrait photographer for Catholic school. It wasn't like a commercial photographer.
Yeah, still, but there's weird. You never know. The people, the faces. Yeah, it's one of those things. It's
like, I'm like, can I make prints? I don't know. I did.
You sort of do it.
I don't know the names of anybody.
Yeah, somebody could come after you. That'd be an interest. Yeah, but
good luck. Yeah. Please do.
Please come
I could use the publicity. Sure. You know what? I won't. Sure. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to now make this look like it's really a lot of hardship on me to go through this. I'm going to try to get it. You now
own 100% of my debt. I went about $4,000 in debt to make this book. So great. You guys now own all that too.
Yeah, this is
Great. Good job.
So once you pay that off, then we can talk.
Yeah.
But it is interesting being in LA, like hearing his stories of, Westlake is slightly outside of LA, but a lot of people out there worked
fancy
in the city, and hearing some of that stuff he comes across, like, but his big thing when he first started was selling DVDs and VHS, like, because all of those people had these huge collections, or for years working for the studios and everything. So they had all of that stuff. Yeah. And he just was starting like, oh, sure. And he'd put them up and go, wait, these are really selling. He's selling, like, I don't know how many a month, but I would say less than 100 maybe, but not much maybe. I don't know.
Still,
he basically had like a small video store in his garage for a while.
And
he was selling them one at a time, and
is
like, sometimes, some of them would go for, they're out of print, so they'd go for 20, 30, $40.
Gotta love out of print
big money.
VHS. Heck yeah. Awesome. Okay, well, let's wrap it up. We will be back next Monday with more of this great goodness. You can write us at hyphenatehalftime@gmail.com. You can find Aaron Farley at Aaron Farley on Instagram. I am under at Randy S. Randall on the Instagram. And let us know what you found at a thrift store. If you're or at a garage sale. If you ever found anything weird at a garage sale, write us at hyphenatehalftime@gmail.com and let us know what weird things you have found. I want to know.
Yes, I really want to know.
I want to know
what love is.